You are listening to the second part of the story. You can listen to the first part in the previous video or by following the link in the description under this video. Happy listening. 2 weeks, and then, boom! 3 weeks, Jerry, and the chase has begun. She was in a very good mood. I liked watching her smile. It was like the air after heavy rain. Everything around me became sharper, cleaner, in focus, more beautiful because of it. And then I made a moral lapse and we made love. It was stupid, but aren't most accidents stupid? I went outside to talk to a local farmer. Since the slow food movement was firmly established, I was constantly collaborating with the chef to bring something new to the menu. This farmer specialized in traditional and rare products and was having trouble finding a market for some of them until he met us. On this day, he was bringing African horned melons, also known as jelly melons or, less flatteringly, as snot melons. They were cylindrical small fruits, variegated orange-yellow, with thorns covering them, quite sharp spines. The flesh was light green and somewhat slimy, hence the nickname. I tried them and found them almost tasteless. They've just been named the new superfood, and Aaron, our chef, made a salad with them as the centerpiece. The ladies liked him. I went outside to look at the bananas he managed to grow. Tiny pink things that taste amazing. He grew a dozen trees just for fun and gave the harvest to friends and clients. I helped him with the delivery, mainly because I liked talking to him and wanted to soak up the sun. We stood next to the cart. He was drunk, reached for another glass of beer and ran into me. I guess I should be glad it was a golf cart and not a car. A trip to the ER left me with a knee brace, 4 stitches in my arm, and a terrible headache. I was also left without work for 2 weeks, without any conversation. The next day, I was limping into the office for 2 hours, looking at my temp book, checking the schedule with the head chef and assistant bar manager, getting ready for my vacation, when the club manager and the chairman of the board walked into my office. Directors. Jerry, how are you feeling? There seemed to be genuine concern in his voice. He was a good man who rose from nothing and built a successful business. He had been chairman for quite some time, and the club was his third passion, after his late wife and business. Despite his age, he seemed to be attracted to women who were old enough to be his daughters. "It's all about the money, Jerry," he said late one night when we were practically alone in the bar, and he was in a great mood. "All you have to do is put a 0 after the number, and it will make you ridiculously beautiful. I like it, but it won't get me anywhere. My late wife set the bar too high, and I haven't found anyone who can come close to it." "It hurts," I said, coming back to the present and grinning. "The doctor said I could return in 2 weeks, but only on a limited basis. We just want you to know that the club will cover all your expenses and salary. If you need anything else, let us know." He paused, hesitating. "What do you want to do with Bob?" Bob was the guy who ran me over. I knew they were worried about possible legal consequences. I bear him no ill will. I know it was an accident and he was a decent guy when he was sober. Suspension for a month. What if it was a guest, or one of the staff, or even a member of the club? The club would be in complete crap. And when he returns, he won't drive a cart for at least 3 months. This is my proposal. Both breathed a sigh of relief. "Ready?" "Thank you, Jerry. And Bob wants to apologize to you. He really regrets what happened. Tell him we'll talk when his suspension is over." We talked some more, and I returned to my apartment where the prescribed pain pill was waiting for me. I was almost instantly plunged into a pleasant fog. There was persistent knocking on the door. I listened to him for what seemed like an eternity before I finally got up from the couch. Marie almost knocked me over as she ran inside. "How badly are you injured? They should shoot this idiot." I shook my head, trying to clear it. I tried to speak, but it came out slurred. "Poor baby. Let me help you get into bed." She led me into the bedroom and sat me down on the bed. She took off my shirt and helped me strip down to my boxers, slowly taking off my loose sweatpants so as not to hurt me. She laid me down, ruffled my hair, and kissed me softly. I passed out. Later, I half woke up feeling warm, soft flesh pressing against me. It felt so good that I hugged her tighter and fell asleep again. Opening my eyes, I saw Marie carefully straddling me, her eyes closed in bliss. I was sure it was a dream. She was surrounded by a golden glow and was smiling. Maybe it was the medication, but I felt tears running down my cheeks. I was so happy. I imagined her kissing my tear-stained cheek as I passed out. I opened my eyes, trying to understand why I felt so good. Looking around, I saw a pair of beautiful brown eyes and an even more beautiful smile. "Good morning, darling. Are you feeling better?" Before I could answer, she jumped out of bed. I heard the shower running, and then she came out wearing my robe. "Do you need help? I'd be glad to help you. I'll make sure everything is clean." She did help me into the shower, but there was no game. After that, she helped me put on my shorts and jockstrap. She whirled around the kitchen, making coffee. She put our cups down and sat down, smiling. "How did you know that I was hurt?" "Evelyn told me. She called and invited me to an impromptu lingerie party. I said it would be my pleasure. She seems very nice. I mentioned you, and she said again that she thought well of you. And wasn't it a shame that you got hurt? I turned off the phone as quickly as I could. I needed to see you, make sure you were okay." "How did you find out where I live?" She blushed slightly. "I was helped by a private detective I hired for Winslow. It took him 30 minutes. I didn't know what else to do. I had no one to ask." She looked nervously around the kitchen. "Say it," I said, urging her on. "I'm so sorry you got hurt. I knew you were alone and I just had to come. I felt that you needed me. And yes, I used your weakened physical and mental state to take advantage of you. If you're waiting for an apology, don't waste your time, because there won't be one. I would do it again. Moreover, I want to do this again. Often and for as long as you allow me. So there you go." I kept my expressionless gaze until she looked unhappy. I then smiled, kissed her on the cheek, and told her that I might accept her offer after she was legally free. She practically danced around the kitchen, chatting incessantly. I just sipped my coffee, smiling. She left late in the evening. She wanted to play, but the pain kept coming back, and I still felt out of sorts, so nothing more happened. She packed her bag for the night and decided to take another shower, leaving the door open. She came out with a towel wrapped around her head and nothing else. I admired her body, her high, firm breasts. Winnie the Pooh is an idiot. How can someone even cheat on you? Not just your body or mind, but the whole package? I'll never understand. She sat next to me, still naked, giggling at the nickname. I thought about this a lot. I even talked to a psychologist. She said that for him, most likely, it was power, to have a beautiful and rich wife, and at the same time, go to bed with almost everyone who said yes. She said that it usually has something to do with his origin. I'll never know, and frankly, I don't care anymore. The fact that he never pressured me after I rejected him suggests that he never considered sex vital to our relationship. She looked at her watch. "I have to go. I have a meeting with accountants and a lawyer, putting the finishing touches on the documents. I'll call you later. You better answer." She kissed me deeply and swam away. I sat and thought, tormented by doubts. I had to admit that I had feelings for her, but was I just a rebound, filling a need until she regained her balance? Can I take the risk? In addition, she actively pursued me when she was still married. Could this be a pattern? Did I want to find out? I passed out after taking a painkiller. 4 hours later, I woke up. I had 4 missed calls from her. The last message told me to call her as soon as I received the message and that he was not at home. I shouldn't have done this, but I called. She was animated and talked about how well the meetings had gone. We talked on the phone for an hour before I told her I needed to call it a day. The meds were starting to work again. "Bye, honey, I love... I'll talk to you tomorrow." 10 days later, I returned to work, mostly doing paperwork, avoiding touching my knee as much as possible. I returned, and 2 days later, I was attacked by those 2 morons for seducing their wives with Winnie the Pooh. I hobbled back to the office, knowing that my knee would give me hell tomorrow, and wondering if I would be able to get an appointment with my doctor. I called Marie, told her the whole story, and told her that if she needed it, both the chief and the assistant prosecutor could testify. It tears everything apart. In a way, this is even good. I have something to strengthen my position with. I'll try to get the bailiff and the police officer on duty to be here when he gets home. I'm not going to stay and argue with him. Anything he says won't matter in the slightest. I'll rent a suite for a few weeks while they sort out the paperwork. Can I count on your support? Always, but so far only from afar. It will be better this way. She didn't like it at all, but she had to respect it. 3 weeks later, she walked into a bar. She quickly became friends with most of the ladies, and they sang my praises about her. One day, Evelyn started talking about her after a tennis match. She seems like such a nice girl. You should take a closer look at her when this is all over. She is very beautiful, wealthy, and she seems to like you. Mrs. Everly, what are these inappropriate words? I don't know if you know, but I'm a part-time college student. In 3 months, I will receive my diploma. Miss Marie was in several of my classes and we became friends. Of course, this was before I knew about her unhappy marriage or that they were members of a club. She is everything you say and more. A lot more. But she is beyond my reach, and I would never embarrass her by trying to prove otherwise. She looked at me for a few seconds before bursting out laughing. Jerry, honey, I always thought you were pretty smart for a man, but this statement just disproved that. If she likes you and is attracted to you, you need to do something about it. People fall in love all the time, regardless of their social and economic level. That's life. You love who you love. Do you think I was born for money? I was the 4th daughter of a Pennsylvania miner, and we were very poor. I went to college on a scholarship, met Tom, and never looked back. Oh, I had bad feelings and my mother-in-law never loved me, but we've been together for 33 years. Money is good, but I would marry him if he was a miner like my father. I think I know you better than you think, Jerry. My father and husband are cut from the same cloth. Her marriage ended before you even met her, so it's not your fault that you have feelings for her. I admire your sense of honor, but it has no place here. It's time for me to go, darling. Think about what I said. That's exactly what I did. It got even worse. Mrs. Everly told her friends, and they started a campaign, constantly bringing us together, guessing the time when I would be free. Marie thought it was funny. Come on, honey. Everyone in the universe thinks you and I together is a good idea, except you. I know. I see it in your eyes. Deep down, you think so too. Temper your sense of decency and let it happen. And there is no need to refer to the fact that my marriage is interfering. I not only filed for divorce, but also legally separated from him until it ends. I didn't have to do this. I did it in hopes of appeasing your pride. I've thought about this a lot. Maybe everyone was right, maybe I was a fool. Then something happened that made me think I was too late. These were dinner dances that took place once a month at the club. Marie twice asked me to accompany her, but I was afraid that this might affect my professional activities. Even if I came as her guest, I would still be an employee, and some would frown upon that. I explained my reasons to her, but she was still upset. I was in my usual place, watching, not letting the waitresses and staff relax, when she entered, with a companion. She came straight to me. Good evening, Jerry. This is my companion for the evening, Don Thompson. You may recognize this name. His family owns Thompson Manufacturing. I told him that you are the best in the business and that you will take good care of us. So she replaced me for a more handsome man out of money. Looking for something like this, I guess. Her eyes studied my face. Years of training paid off as I kept a calm expression without batting an eyelid. Thank you for your trust, Mrs. Martin. The club will do everything possible to ensure that you and your guests have fun. I'm afraid I'm not physically fit yet. I pointed to the cane that I still had to use when my knee hurt. But I'll ask Suzanne to take care of you personally. Please forgive me. I hobbled over to Suzanne, the new bartender I'd hired, to ask her to keep an eye on them. She looked at me strangely. She had been here long enough to hear the rumors, but complied with the order. I stayed a few more minutes, watching them slowly waltz around, and then went into my office and closed the door. I stayed there for 45 minutes, then walked around the office to make sure everything was going smoothly before leaving, citing pain. The next day I had the day off, but as soon as I entered, an ambush awaited me. Mrs. Everly, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Simpson are the big three in terms of the number of wives of company members. 2 husbands had seats on the board of directors. Another headed our charitable foundation, raising funds to send disadvantaged young people to community college and beyond. "To the office, quickly," Mrs. Everly snapped. Wondering what was going on, I invited them in, made them sit down, and sat at my table. "How can I help you this morning, beautiful ladies?" I asked kindly. "You can stop being stupid," Mrs. Simpson snapped. "What?" Mrs. Everly placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "What she means, dear, is that you seriously offended one of the club members. We are here to prevent the situation from getting worse." She paused while I thought. "I can't remember ever having offended any of the club members during my time here, except for the few times I had to stop serving alcohol to someone. Who is he, and what did I do to offend him? I will do everything in my power to make things right." "That's the attitude, Jerry. I knew we could rely on you." "And the offended club member is a woman, Marie Martin. I suddenly had a very bad feeling about this whole thing." "How did I offend Mrs. Martin? Looking back, I cannot remember a single instance of disrespect or neglect towards her." Mrs. Jones intervened. "Stop it, Jerry. Everyone with eyes and ears knows she's in love with you, and you'll feel the same if you just admit it. Last weekend, she started crying halfway through the dance. Her boyfriend got tired of this and left her. Her friends, including us, took her home. She just went on a date with him to make you jealous and push you. Now we expect you two to kiss and make up in the near future. If she continues to be unhappy, it will make us unhappy, and we will make our husbands unhappy. It's a trickle effect when you're standing at the bottom of a hill. Do you get the point?" They all looked at me expectantly. I sat back and thought for a moment before speaking. "Let me clear things up. Despite all the work I've done and years of service in this place, my future here is limited to dating a member of the club. Carrot or stick, right? Marie is the carrot, and my future is the stick. Did I assess the situation correctly?" Everyone had the decency to look awkward and a little embarrassed. "We're just trying to help 2 people we like be together, honey. Please don't try to understand anything else. You're a great fit. We'll get a happy member and keep someone we value as much more than just an employee." I seriously thanked the ladies, promising to quickly solve the problem. They left, chatting happily. Suzanne said it was like a bomb went off in the building when they realized I was gone, and the chairman received my resignation letter. I disappeared for a week, using my connections to stay off the grid, avoiding 2 resorts and a high-end bar in 3 states until I calmed down. The ladies should have talked to my parents. "He is the least pressure-resistant person I have ever seen. He will not tolerate it, even if it is for his own good." My mother often said this. My father said that I should get a job and teach mules to be stubborn. I would earn very good money. On the way back, I stopped by to see them. It was Sunday, and my distant relatives, at least those who could come, often dined with my parents, bringing dishes and putting finishing touches on the house. Everything was quiet when I walked through the door. "What?" I said before everyone started chatting again. "We're just surprised to see you, that's all." "I'm surprised that you still remember where we live." I hugged her, twirled her around, and then put her on the ground. "You can shame me, Mom, but you know my schedule. It's hard for me to get home, especially on weekends. The good news is that I may have something more stable in the future." We ate, and I entertained them with stories from the bar and stupid things rich people do until noon. Mom caught me on the porch and sat me next to her on the swing. "What's going on, son?" "I have no idea what you're talking about, Mom." She reached out and took my shoulder. 2 days ago, your girlfriend came looking for you. Marie seems like a very nice person. She was very upset. Why did you quarrel? She knew me well. If she hadn't held my hand, I would have gotten up and run away. She's not my friend, Mom, and we didn't fight, even if she was. She smoothed out her dress, letting me calm down. Well, something definitely set her off. She looked everywhere for you, and said she needed to apologize to you. It's none of my business, of course, but I think she loves you, and I still need one more to make my dozen. She knew it would make me laugh. She always said that she wanted to have a dozen grandchildren, and the last one arrived 2 years ago, number 11. I'll call her when I get home, I promise. You'll see. I'm getting close to the end, and I'd like you to settle down with a good woman before I go. I kissed her on the cheek. You're 61, Mom, and you're healthier than me. You will outlive us all. I said goodbye and was home by midnight. I stayed at home for about an hour, just got into bed when someone started knocking on my door. Marie. When I opened it, she rushed into my arms, almost knocking me off my feet. Crying and talking, I simply let her go until she calmed down. Where have you been? Do you have any idea how many people were looking for you? No matter. I need to tell you something before you kick me out. I was waiting. I only went with this guy to make you jealous. He is nothing to me. I cried when you performed the performance and then left. I was so disgusted with him that he left me alone at the dance. Apparently, money doesn't teach you good manners. And I had no idea what Evelyn and her friends were going to do. When you retired, it hit the fan, and suffice to say, there are now a few wives in the club on a short leash. You're still working. They refuse to accept your resignation. The chairman told me he expects a call as soon as you return, and he gave me hell for a while. I wondered what the significance of what she did was to the chairman, but I ignored it. Marie, I had to stop. She didn't want to shut up. Finally, I growled at her. Marie, shut up! She immediately stopped, but before I could speak, she began again, bursting into tears. Now you're telling me that we'll never be together. I understand. In desperation, I decided that the only way to keep her quiet was to occupy her mouth with something else, so I started kissing her, firmly. It took her a second to realize it, then she returned them, even stronger. I was sure there would be bruises on our lips. When we broke away from each other, she looked at me with sparkling eyes. Is this what it takes to shut you up? If this is so, then I will never shut up. I'll talk and talk and talk and... I kissed her again for a few minutes. When we paused, I saw the beginnings of a smile. She opened her mouth, but I pressed my fingers to her lips. Enough, or next time I'll spank you. It's my turn to speak, okay? She giggled. It's not that much of a threat, but okay. I'm all ears. I was just about to say that evening that I wanted us to go out somewhere, to be seen, to see if we could somehow make it happen. Then you showed up with your boyfriend, and then the ladies at the club tried to blackmail me, and I just lost it, and... That was all I had time to say when she kissed me. Clothes were removed slowly, carefully, and then hastily torn. She screamed almost all night. I barely made a sound because it was so strong it took my breath away. My knee hurt like hell, but I didn't care. I woke up to her rustling in the kitchen. She was naked except for her apron. I grabbed her from behind. She leaned her head back to kiss me, and we were just getting started when the doorbell rang. I grabbed the robe and she ran into the bedroom. It was the chairman. Well, this will be interesting. He didn't wait for an invitation and walked straight past me. Will they offer me coffee? I finally got over my surprise. Of course, sir. Cream, sugar? Black will do. Where the hell have you been? Your assistant is an idiot who can't handle pressure. Your Suzanne is a real treasure. If it weren't for her and the chef, the place would collapse. Didn't you receive my email? Oh, that joke? We had a good laugh before wiping it off. Do you think your knee will recover in a couple of days? I think Suzanne can hold out for about that long before she snaps and kills him. Just when I thought this couldn't get any more surreal, Marie came out of the bedroom wearing a t-shirt and nothing else. She walked over and kissed the chairman on the cheek and then took the cup. Hello, Daddy. Have you already talked some sense into your future son-in-law? I know I looked like a deer caught in headlights. Marie, laughing, knocked on the table and the chairman grinned. It's a pity that I didn't remember to take my phone with me. You should have seen your face. The chairman finally laughed. Call me John. In the end, if everything works out, we will see each other much more often. And Mari, remember your lesson. I know he's a little slow, but he'll come to you with a question soon, I'm sure. Now I have to go to work, and you need to clean up the mess you made when you left. And if anyone asks, you were leaving to get your knee treated. See you at the club tonight. He patted me on the back. leaning in so she couldn't hear. Ask her quickly. She made a fool of herself because of you. Help her regain her dignity. I'll take care of it. I promise, I said quietly, so she wouldn't hear. She looked at us suspiciously, wondering what we were talking about. We showered together, played a little, tried showering together again, gave up and made love, then showered separately again. I don't think I've ever been so clean in my life. Suzanne and Aaron did everything except roll out the red carpet for me when I walked in. They were so happy to have me back. Michael, the assistant manager, almost kissed me. I learned something about myself. I'm not a leader. When you feel better, can I go back to being a regular bartender, please? I assured him that we would have a place for him and got down to business. I worked steadily until almost 7, when Marie came in. She kissed me deeply in front of everyone. No one looked surprised. Many were grinning. Lunch break, darling. You need to save your energy for rehab and stuff like that. I followed her into the dining room without protest. She made a reservation. I looked at her. Aaron knows what you like. I'm just maximizing our time. We chatted a bit about trivial matters while enjoying our meal. Over coffee, we moved on to serious matters. Okay, spit it out. Why didn't you tell me who your father is? You were already worried about money and position. I can imagine your reaction if I said, by the way, my dad is the chairman of the board where you work. Now let's talk about more pleasant things, like what you might want to ask me. I smiled at her hopeful face. In due time, my beauty. First, we need to end this annoying little scam. She frowned. Can you believe this asshole wants counseling? What does he hope to achieve? It doesn't matter. I'll answer it myself. It's better to break up. He almost had a heart attack when we showed him how much he was hiding from me, including the offshore account and the exact amount on deposit. My lawyer says we need to let him play out. If he sees that we are in no hurry, he may give in and reach an agreement earlier. It would be better not to let information leak that we are in a serious relationship. It's quite difficult to keep it a secret now. I turned around to see what she was looking at. The big three rushed towards us at full speed. I stood up, kindly inviting them to sit down. To my surprise, they refused. We just came to apologize. What we did was wrong, and our husbands strongly reinforced this to us. We shouldn't have interfered. Will you forgive a few old ladies who tried to help love go faster? I looked at them decisively. No. They looked at me in shock. I tried to enjoy the moment, but I couldn't resist smiling. I can't forgive those who gave me a kick in the ass that sent me in the right direction. I am indebted to you. And thank you. Thank you very much. They smiled, decided they wanted to chat, and sat down. After a few more minutes, I looked at my watch and stood up. Ladies, as much as I enjoy the company I'm in, I have to get back to work. I hope the rest of your evening is enjoyable. They insisted that I kiss each of them on the cheek, except Marie, who pulled me towards her and kissed me deeply. The older ladies giggled when she said she would see me at home. Thank God, everything was resolved. Now, ladies, I'll leave you to spend a little time planning my future without my input, because so far everything is going well. Do you agree, Marie? The whole table lit up with a bright light, and I left. I wanted to whistle. Marie decided that I was far enough away not to hear them. So, Aunt Evelyn, what's on your mind? Wedding plans, dear. What else? I was already halfway across the room when I heard it. I turned around to see Marie with her hand over her mouth while the others laughed. I smiled at her and she relaxed. As I went back to work, I wondered if I even had any chance when she decided she wanted me. Most likely not. The divorce finally took place 5 months later. He struggled with this and forced him to go to counseling. When he had exhausted all options and even the lawyer told him that he was wasting his time, he began to bargain. It turned out that they owned 3 car dealerships. He had one when they got married, and they used her money to invest in 2 more. This led to his travels. He ended up getting his original dealership, all the apartments, office buildings, their old house, and his not-so-hidden bank account. She got a Ford Hyundai dealership and a Buick, Honda, Subaru dealership, as well as some investments and some cash. By a little, I mean a lot. On the day when everything was finally decided, I went to court with her. Surprisingly, he was also present. He constantly looked back at us, and Marie continued to show me small public signs of attention. When we left the courtroom, he was ready to explode. Running up to us in the corridor, he practically screamed, "You bitch! Bartender? You're kidding, right? Fucking barman! You must have ratted me out. I'll kill your gold-digging ass." I pushed the shocked Marie away from me, peering at what was happening. The bailiff and deputy sheriff in the courtroom were too far away to reach him. His lawyer was there, but he could not come between us. I let him approach, dodged his lunge, throwing him off balance, and smiled as he slammed his head into the wall. He jumped up and saw me standing ready in front of him. I hit him in the stomach, hard. As he lay gasping for breath, the cops arrived with stun guns at the ready. He just didn't understand the concept of "leave while you're losing," and swore at me again and knocked over an aging bailiff trying to get to me. By then, a state trooper was there, and he was tased so hard that he lit up like a Christmas tree. He was still convulsing as he was handcuffed. I declined to press charges, but the DA charged him with assaulting a bailiff and causing a disturbance. He received 3 days off in jail and 200 hours of community service. From time to time, I see him in an orange vest, picking up trash on the side of the road. I always honk and wave at him. Her father came to see me. "I heard there will be a wedding at the end of June. Is it true?" "Yes," I smiled. "I would ask you for her hand, but I'm afraid it's too late. She already asked my mother for mine." "Fine. I've always liked you, Jerry. You did a good job in a way I never would have thought possible. You would make an excellent politician. You would make an amazing club manager. It's a shame, isn't it?" I was stunned. "What exactly are we talking about here?" He looked surprised. "About your resignation, of course. My brother-in-law can't work here. It would be a conflict of interest. I wouldn't do that. So if I marry your daughter, I'll have to resign." "I'm afraid so. Everything went down for me. This was my old dream. Maybe a stupid one, but a dream nonetheless." I shook myself. No job would ever cost Marie. "I guess it's good that I'm marrying money." He stopped smiling. "I will never allow my daughter to have a husband whom she must support." He paused, gauging my reaction. "Besides, you have a job. With me, I have to look after the gold digger she married." I looked up in surprise. He had a huge smile on his face. "I watched you, Jerry, as you moved up the career ladder. You never relaxed. You took on more than you could. You constantly found ways to make this club better. You paid for your degree and earned it without any help. You are probably the most moral person I know, and underneath your calm exterior lies a core of iron. You set a goal, set a deadline, and accomplished everything you set out to do. You can be proud of yourself, son. I know this is true." He leaned forward and we were almost nose to nose. "I've built a good business, Jerry. Many people depend on me for their livelihood. This is a great responsibility. But I want you to learn this business. I will work you harder than anyone else, start from the bottom, and make you earn every promotion. And when you are ready, I will transfer it to you, in trust for my grandchildren, and retire knowing that a reliable hand is at the helm. Can you handle this?" I laughed, shaking his hand. "I don't know, but I'm sure I'll find out." And so it was that on a sunny Saturday afternoon in June, Marie Patterson, she had reverted to her maiden name, became Mrs. Jerry Stone in the presence of almost all the members of the country club, my family and friends. Mom was especially happy. Evelyn hired her to help with mother of the bride duties, and just before walking down the aisle, Marie shared a secret with them both. "I know it's my day, Mom," she said to my mother, "but I want to give you a gift." She handed her an envelope with an invitation inside. Mom still keeps it. Birth announcement. Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Stone take great pleasure in announcing the birth on or about December 15th of a daughter-son, Constance Evelyn, my mom and her aunt, or John Edward, her dad and mine, Stone. The parents are pleased to announce that her nickname will be Dozen. Mom and Evelyn cried throughout the service. The pregnancy was a mutual decision, except that Marie stopped taking birth control and didn't tell me about it the day I gave her the ring. She told me this the night before the wedding. We both agreed that we wanted children. I'm already close to the danger zone in terms of age, and I want at least two, so they have to be close to each other. We simply cannot afford to waste time. So I was extremely happy for two reasons, watching her swim down the aisle. 16 months later, Johnny followed Connie. Marie announced the closure of the factory and tied the tubes. John worked with me like a dog, entrusting me with any dirty work, but I never complained and forbade Marie to do it. 7 years later, we had a big retirement party at the club, and the next week I watched as my name appeared on the door marked President. Mom loved to tell everyone that she had a devil's dozen when it came to grandchildren. She became very attached to Evelyn, and after her father died 3 years ago, she began to spend more and more time in our house, hanging out with her at the club while Mary and I worked. We bought a piece of land and built Marie her dream, child-friendly home. 4 years later, I returned home to find heavy equipment parked on the far side of the property and Marie and Mom talking to a guy in a hard hat. I approached him. "What are we building?" Marie didn't even look up from the plans she was holding in her hands. "Cottage for mother-in-law." "For whom?" She looked up from her papers with an indignant expression, and her mother pretended not to laugh. "For my mother-in-law." Marie was the CEO of her own company and opened a third dealership in direct competition with her former one. After their divorce, Winnie the Pooh didn't have a very good life. They kicked him out of Briarwood Country Club for his little stunt of using my name in his business, which led to a confrontation. He joined another club 3 cities away. He learned a little from his mistakes, and wives number 2 and 3 signed prenuptial agreements, but still split up when his infidelity was discovered. Marie told me that he lives with a woman who is 17 years older than him. She is very rich, but refuses to marry him and keeps him on a short leash. I know what people say about me. I married money, slept with them to get to the top, that I am henpecked. I'm sure if Marie heard anything like that, she would quickly correct them. He's the sweetest person in the world, and he agrees with everything I say because it makes me happy and he really doesn't care. But when he says no, no means no, and I respect that. Either way, they don't say it to my face. Everyone who knows me, everyone who matters, knows the truth. To hell with everyone else. I like to think that I married the woman of my dreams and everything else is just a side benefit. Now I need to go to the club. I was elected to the board of directors. I know my father-in-law is still the chairman, nepotism rules. He admitted to me that he would soon leave there. He has finally found someone who he says is his late wife's equal. I'm pretty sure I'll like my new mother-in-law. I've known her for as long as I can remember. Marie laughs and says, "We have a unique situation. My mother will simultaneously be my mother-in-law, and her adoptive mother will be hers. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one."